The crisp autumn air hit me like a slap as I stepped out of my beat-up sedan, the scent of caramel apples and wood smoke wrapping around me at the Harvest Moon Festival in upstate New York. I wasn't there for the fun. I was escaping the suffocating silence of my apartment after another failed job interview. My omega pheromones flaring uncontrollably from the stress, drawing unwanted stares from the crowd. Then, in the midst of the swirling lights and laughter, a tall figure in a sharp suit locked eyes with me. Ethan Hargrove, the Alpha CEO whose face I'd seen plastered on business magazines. And before I could blink, his hand gripped my wrist, pulling me into a shadowed alcove where his scent overwhelmed me, and he marked me with a bite that seared like fire, claiming me right there as his. My name is Alex Rivera, a 25-year-old graphic designer scraping by in a small town outside Albany, where being an Omega meant navigating a world that still whispered about traditional roles despite all the progress. I'd heard of Ethan. He was the ruthless head of Hargrove Enterprises, a tech firm revolutionizing sustainable energy, but also known for his old-school alpha views that clashed with modern equality movements. Why me? I thought, my neck throbbing as I stumbled back into the festival lights, the mark already bonding us in ways I couldn't ignore, my body responding to his presence like a magnet, even as my mind screamed in protest. The next morning, I woke up in my tiny studio apartment to pounding on the door. It was Ethan, looking every bit the powerful executive in his crisp shirt and tie, his dark hair perfectly styled, but his eyes held a storm of possession and regret. I couldn't stop myself, he admitted, stepping inside without invitation, his alpha aura filling the room and making my knees weak. You're sent, called to me. But now that it's done, I won't let anything happen to you. I laughed bitterly, touching the fresh mark on my neck. You think marking a stranger fixes everything? This isn't some fairy tale. It's assault. He flinched but didn't back down. In our world, it's instinct. But I'll prove it's more than that. We argued for hours that day. Ethan explained how the festival's energy had amplified his alpha drive, a rare lapse for someone who prided himself on control. He was 32, divorced from a beta wife years ago because she couldn't handle his intensity, and now he ran his empire with iron fists. Me? I was the opposite, soft-spoken, artistic, fighting against the societal expectation that Omegas should submit. My family, conservative immigrants from Mexico who had moved to the U.S. for a better life, already disapproved of my orientation. If they found out about this mark, it'd shatter them. You don't get it, I told him. This mark ties me to you, but I have a life, friends, dreams. You can't just barge in. Yet, as the day wore on, Ethan's persistence wore me down. He offered protection, financial stability, a job at his company if I wanted, and in return he wanted time to show me this could be real. I resisted, but the bond pulsed between us, stirring emotions I hadn't felt before. Safety in his strength, a spark of attraction amid the anger. By evening, we agreed to a trial period, meeting discreetly to navigate this forced connection. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of conflicts that would test everything I believed about love, identity, and society. The following weeks blurred into a whirlwind. Ethan started small, sending meals to my apartment when I forgot to eat, or arranging for my car to be fixed after it broke down again. But whispers spread. Co-workers at my freelance gigs noticed the mark's faint scar, questioning if I'd given in to an alpha. In America, ABO dynamics were legally recognized, but social stigma lingered, especially in rural areas where alphas were seen as protectors or tyrants. One night, at a local bar with friends, a group of betas cornered me. Marked by Hargrove? Selling out for money? They sneered. I defended myself, but the confrontation left me shaken. Ethan showed up unannounced that night, his jaw set in fury when he saw my bruised ego. "No one touches what's mine," he growled, pulling me into his arms. It was the first real embrace, and despite my resolve, I melted into it, feeling protected for the first zero time. But protection came with a price. His world was cutthroat. At a company gala he insisted I attend as his date. Disguised as a colleague, I overheard board members debating Omega rights in the workplace. "They distract alphas," one said. Ethan shut it down sharply, but the tension lingered, making me question if I was just a symbol in his fight or something more. As autumn leaves turned to bare branches, our bond deepened through stolen moments. Walks in Central Park when he visited the city, late-night talks about our pasts. He shared how his father's rigid alpha expectations had shaped him, pushing him to succeed at all costs, while I opened up about my struggles with self-acceptance in a family that prayed for me to change. Yet, cracks appeared. Ethan's jealousy flared when I mentioned an old flame, a beta guy from college, leading to our first big fight. "You can't control me," I yelled. He apologized, but the possessiveness hinted at deeper issues. By the end of that first month, I found myself relying on him more, the mark weaving our emotions together. But society pushed back. An anonymous tip to a local news blog labeled our connection as exploitative, sparking online debates about consent in ABO markings. Ethan vowed to handle it, his protective instincts kicking in full force. As winter approached, I wondered if this was love or just biology trapping us in a drama neither asked for. The scandal hit like a winter storm. What started as a blog post exploded into national headlines. Alpha mogul marks unsuspecting Omega at festival, consent or coercion. Ethan's PR team worked overtime, but the damage was done. Protests formed outside Hargrove Enterprises headquarters in Manhattan, activists chanting for Omega rights and decrying archaic marking practices. I watched from my apartment, heart pounding, as my face appeared in blurred photos online. "This is what you brought into my life," I accused Ethan over the phone, my voice cracking. He arrived within hours, his usual composure frayed. "I'll fix this," he promised, pacing my living room. But fixing meant diving deeper into his world. A press conference where he publicly acknowledged the mark, framing it as a moment of destiny, while emphasizing mutual respect. I stood beside him, forced into the spotlight, smiling for cameras that felt like spotlights on my vulnerability. Inside, I seethed. Was this protection or manipulation? The bond urged me to trust him, but my mind rebelled. Post-conference, we retreated to his penthouse overlooking the Hudson, a sleek space of glass and steel that screamed success. There, away from prying eyes, we talked honestly. "I never meant to drag you into this," Ethan confessed, his hand gently tracing the mark. "But now that you're mine, I'll shield you from everything." His words stirred warmth, but also fear. Did mine mean partnership or possession? That night, we shared our first kiss, tentative and charged, born from emotional exhaustion rather than passion. It felt right, yet wrong, amplifying the internal conflict. Society's backlash intensified. My family called, my mother sobbing about the shame of an Omega son marked by a stranger, urging me to seek legal unbonding. A painful, rare procedure. "This isn't you, Alex," she pleaded. I hung up, torn between loyalty and my growing feelings for Ethan. At work, my freelance clients dried up, whispers of distraction, echoing the boardroom prejudices I'd overheard. Ethan offered me a position at his company as a designer, but accepting felt like surrender. We navigated these waters through quiet dates, dinners in hidden restaurants, drives through snowy upstate roads. Ethan opened up about his vulnerabilities, how his alpha status isolated him, friends viewing him as a leader rather than an equal. I shared my art, sketches of festivals and faces, including one of him that captured his intensity. "You're seeing me," he murmured, pulling me close. These moments built trust, but external pressures mounted. A turning point came at a holiday party hosted by Ethan's associates. An alpha rival, Marcus Kane, cornered me, his scent aggressive. "Hargrove's toy? Bet he marked you for the thrill." I pushed back verbally, but Ethan intervened, fists clenched, nearly escalating to violence. Later, in the car, he admitted, "I can't lose you, not after everything." His protectiveness was intoxicating, but it sparked debates in my mind. Was this healthy, or was society right to question it? As New Year's approached, online forums buzzed with opinions, some defending instinctive bonds, others calling for bans on public markings. Ethan hired security for me, a constant shadow that chafed my independence. One evening, after a heated argument about his overreach, I stormed out, wandering the city streets. Hours later, he found me on a bench in Washington Square Park, snow falling softly. "I protect you because I love you," he said simply. The word love hung between us, untested but real. Yet, love didn't erase the conflicts. My best friend, Jamie, a fellow Omega, warned me, "He's changing you, Alex. Remember who you were before the mark." I defended Ethan, but doubt crept in. When an activist group invited me to speak against alpha dominance, I considered it, leading to our biggest rift. Ethan saw it as betrayal. I saw it as autonomy. We reconciled in tears, but the seed of controversy grew. By midwinter, our relationship had evolved into something profound, laced with societal landmines. Ethan's business suffered boycotts, forcing him to choose between his empire and me. He chose me, publicly advocating for Omega protections in a bold move that alienated conservatives. It was admirable, but the personal toll weighed heavy. My family's silence, lost friendships, constant scrutiny. As spring hinted on the horizon, I realized protection came at the cost of freedom, setting the stage for greater trials. Spring brought renewal, but for us, it ushered in chaos. Ethan's advocacy speech went viral, painting him as a reformed alpha, but it ignited backlash from traditionalist groups who labeled him a traitor. Protests turned violent outside his office, rocks shattering windows as chants of alphas first echoed. I was at home when the call came, Ethan injured in the melee, a gash on his forehead from flying debris. Rushing to the hospital, I found him bandaged but defiant. "This is for us?" he whispered, gripping my hand. The bond surged, pulling me closer, but guilt gnawed. Was I worth this destruction? Recovery forced us into seclusion at his lakeside cabin in the Adirondacks, a rustic escape from the urban storm. There, amid blooming wildflowers, we delved deeper into our emotions. Ethan shared childhood stories of pressure to dominate, how marking me was his first true act of vulnerability. I confessed my fears, of losing myself in his shadow, of society's judgment defining us. Our conversations turned intimate, not physical, but soul-bearing, strengthening the mark's emotional tether. But isolation couldn't shield us forever. Returning to the city, we faced a lawsuit from an Omega rights organization, claiming Ethan's mark violated consent laws. The case made headlines, dredging up festival footage and witness accounts. "Did you agree?" The lawyer grilled me in deposition. I hesitated. Instinct had blurred lines, but legally it was murky. Ethan stood by me, his legal team arguing biological imperative, but the trial exposed rifts, public opinion split, with polls showing 52% viewing markings as outdated assault. Family intervened dramatically. My brother flew in from California, confronting Ethan at our apartment. "You're ruining his life," he accused. Ethan remained calm, explaining the bond's depth, but the argument escalated, my brother storming out and cutting ties. It broke me. Family was my anchor, now adrift because of this connection. Ethan comforted me through nights of tears, his protection manifesting in quiet strength. But I questioned if love should demand such sacrifices. Social circles fractured too. At a fundraiser for ABO equality, Ethan's new cause, I mingled with activists who eyed me suspiciously. "You're the poster child for coercion," one said. Defending our story, I highlighted the growth, but it sparked heated debates. Was redemption possible for an impulsive alpha? Ethan overheard and pulled me aside, his eyes fierce. "Don't let them define us." His words empowered me, but the controversy fueled tabloid fodder, paparazzi hounding us. Amid the turmoil, tender moments emerged. A picnic in Central Park, where Ethan proposed a formal bonding ceremony, legal and consensual, to silence critics. "Marry me, Alex. Make this official." My heart soared, but hesitation lingered. Was this rushing to fix external problems? We discussed it endlessly, weighing emotions against logic. Accepting meant embracing his world fully, including the risks. The trial climaxed with my testimony. Under oath, I admitted the mark's initial shock but affirmed the love it fostered. It's complicated, I said, but real. The judge ruled in our favor, citing mutual benefit, but the verdict polarized society. Celebrations from progressives, outrage from traditionalists. Ethan celebrated by whisking me to a quiet dinner, toasting our victory. Yet, victory felt hollow. Friends distanced themselves, labeling me complicit in alpha privilege. As summer heated up, Ethan's business rebounded with new alliances, but personal strains peaked. A former employee leaked internal memos showing his past opposition to Omega hires, contradicting his current stance. Betrayal stung. "Were you always this way?" I demanded. He explained it as evolution, sparked by me, but trust wavered. We fought, me retreating to a hotel for space, the bond aching like a physical wound. Reconciliation came slowly. Ethan sought therapy for his alpha impulses, inviting me to sessions where we unpacked societal conditioning. It was raw, admitting how America's mixed ABO laws amplified inequalities. Through it, our love solidified, but external threats loomed. Anonymous threats arrived, vowing to unmark me forcibly. Ethan's protection intensified: bodyguards, secure homes, turning our life into a fortress. By summer's end, we stood stronger, but the world hadn't changed. The mark that started it all now symbolized broader debates. Consent versus instinct, protection versus control. As we planned our future, I wondered if true equality could coexist with such bonds, setting us on a path toward inevitable confrontation. The heat of summer amplified every tension. With our bonding ceremony approaching, invitations sent to a select few, opposition mounted. A conservative coalition petitioned to revoke Ethan's business licenses, claiming his lifestyle undermined family values. Protests escalated outside our home, signs reading, "Protect Omegas from alphas like him." One night, a brick sailed through our window, shattering glass and my sense of security. Ethan pulled me to safety, his body shielding mine instinctively. "I won't let them win," he vowed, but fear gripped me. Was this the life I wanted? In the aftermath, we hunkered down, Ethan's security team patrolling like sentinels. He poured resources into counter-campaigns, funding Omega empowerment programs to shift narratives. I contributed designs for their materials, finding purpose in the fight. Yet, personal doubts surfaced. During a quiet evening, I confessed, "Sometimes I wonder if we'd be better apart." Ethan's face crumpled. "The mark binds us, but love keeps us. I'd release you if that's what you want." His selflessness hit hard, reigniting my commitment. Family reconciliation attempts failed spectacularly. Inviting my parents to the ceremony, they declined harshly. "This isn't natural." The rejection stung, echoing societal divides where immigrant communities clung to traditions amid American progress. Ethan encouraged me to grieve, holding me as I processed the loss. Our bond provided solace, a silent promise amid the noise. The ceremony loomed as a flashpoint. Leaked details sparked media frenzy, with pundits debating, romantic or reckless? We opted for a private venue in the Hamptons, but infiltrators posed threats. On the eve, Ethan revealed a surprise. Letters from supporters, Omegas sharing how our story inspired them. It bolstered us, but anxiety peaked when a bomb threat evacuated the site hours before. In the chaos, we fled to a backup location, a secluded beach at dawn. There, with waves crashing and a handful of allies, we exchanged vows. "I promise to protect you not out of duty, but choice," Ethan said, his voice steady. I replied, "And I choose you, flaws and all." The moment was pure, but cut short by sirens. Protesters had followed, clashing with security. Ethan whisked me away, his grip firm, embodying the title's essence. Post-ceremony, honeymoon plans scrapped for safety, we reflected in hiding. Ethan's empire teetered. Investors pulled out, forcing layoffs. "This is on me," he lamented. I countered, "It's on us," for challenging the status quo. Our unity grew, but sacrifices mounted. I abandoned my art career for anonymity, resenting the loss yet valuing our survival. A pivotal confrontation arose at a national ABO summit Ethan keynote. Activists stormed the stage, accusing him of hypocrisy. I watched from the audience, heart racing, as he defended our love. Marking was impulsive, but growth is intentional. Fists flew. Ethan took a punch protecting a fellow speaker. Rushing to him, I realized his protection extended beyond me, to ideals we shared. Healing from bruises, we faced the ultimate test. A congressional hearing on ABO reforms. Testifying together, we shared our journey, the Marks controversy, societal pushback, emotional toll. Protection isn't possession, I stated. Ethan added, it's partnership. The hearing divided lawmakers, but our testimony humanized the debate, swaying some. As fall returned, circling back to the festival's anniversary, peace seemed elusive. Threats persisted, forcing us into relocation considerations. Ethan's possessiveness resurfaced during a scare, a stalker tailing me, leading to another argument. You can't lock me away, I shouted. He relented, agreeing to balance. Through it all, our love endured, forged in fire. But as leaves fell again, a final twist emerged. Evidence surfaced that the initial scandal was orchestrated by Marcus Kane, Ethan's rival, seeking to ruin him. Confronting him at a business meeting, Ethan chose mercy over revenge, offering a truce. I've got more to protect now, he said. The resolution brought closure, but not without cost. Our story became a case study in sociology classes, sparking endless debates. As we settled into a quieter life, I pondered the Marks' legacy. Blessing or curse? With the rival exposed, Ethan's company stabilized, innovative projects regaining traction. We moved to a secure estate in Vermont, trading city lights for mountain views, a compromise blending his protection with my need for space. There, in the tranquility, we rebuilt, hosting small gatherings for like-minded couples, fostering a community that challenged norms. My art flourished again, inspired by our saga, exhibitions drawing crowds who saw hope in our resilience. Yet, echoes of conflict lingered. Media revisited our story annually, especially during festival season, with documentaries probing the Marks' ethics. Did instinct justify it? One interviewer asked. Ethan responded thoughtfully, no, but redemption does. I added my voice, emphasizing choice over biology, empowering others to question traditions. Family ties mended slowly. A surprise visit from my sister bridged the gap. She saw our happiness, advocating to our parents. He's good for you, she admitted. Thanksgiving that year included tentative calls, a step toward acceptance amid America's evolving views on ABO and LGBT rights. Ethan's transformation was profound. He stepped back from CEO duties, delegating to focus on philanthropy, funding scholarships for Omegas in tech. You taught me balance, he told me during a hike. Our hands linked. The bond, once a chain, felt like a thread connecting souls. Emotions flowing freely, choices mutual. But peace was tested one last time. A bill proposing mandatory consent classes for alphas gained momentum, our testimony pivotal. Opponents rallied, claiming it eroded natural order. At a rally, we faced hecklers. Traitors to your kind. Ethan shielded me from thrown objects, his resolve unbreakable. Later, in bed, he whispered, worth every scar. As years blurred, our life normalized. Adopting a dog, planning travels, celebrating anniversaries. The mark faded visually but endured internally, a reminder of impulsive beginnings and deliberate growth. Society shifted incrementally. Markings became rarer, consent emphasized, thanks partly to our visibility. Reflecting on it all, from that fateful festival to now, I marveled at the journey. Ethan's protection evolved from possession to partnership, our love a beacon amid debates. But questions remained, fueling discussions in cafes and online forums. In the end, was it right for an alpha to mark without explicit consent, even if it led to true love and societal change?